The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Nobody's listening, no. Nobody's listening, no. Nobody wants to hear them speak. Nobody's listening, no. Nobody's listening. Nobody wants to hear them speak. Nobody wants to hear them speak. Nobody wants to hear them speak.
Thank you for downloading, streaming, or however it is that you listen to the Not Listening Podcast. I'm Adam.
I'm Ash.
Will.
How you doing, everyone? Welcome along. Today's show, we are going to be discussing the Marvel superhero, DareDevil.
I thought he was DC.
There's Marvel, mate.
Oh, I'll get mixed up.
He's the blind one, yeah?
He's the blind one.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So give us a tweet at Barker Podcast, Not Listening Pod, and go to the website, www.notlistening.co.uk. Right, should we get our geek on? Yeah.
Hashtag not listening.
Now, I think we've all seen the wonderful and delightful, fantastic film with Ben Affleck, DareDevil.
Yes.
Yeah.
I nearly didn't watch the Netflix Daredevil thing off of the strength of the Ben Affleck film.
I quite liked the Ben Affleck film.
It was entertaining.
I watched the director's cut, which is pretty decent.
I wanted those couple of hours of my life back. It was appalling.
You want them back? You can have them back, Will.
Well, for me, Daredevil now has a new lease of life.
It does.
The Netflix original series, I have to say, is superb. I'm absolutely delighted that they've got a second series
Already
approved,
queued
and
up.
they're starting to work on it. But
Ooh.
I would say it's certainly some of the best telly I've watched this year, without a doubt.
It was excellent.
But yeah, I kind of like the whole. They've got the whole Marvel universe, but they appear to be kind of leaving Daredevil out of it at the moment. It's not being looped in with all of the movies and bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But Daredevil's a fascinating character to me. I really quite like the aspect, certainly in the Netflix series, and certainly towards the start. He's really quite lame. Not just the fact that he's blind, his blindness is made up for, but he goes out and he has all of these fights and he's getting cut up left, right and centre.
Well, it's because all he's got is his mask.
Well,
It's just a black bobble hat that's just pulled down over his eyes.
Well, that's it. He in effect
He's got a
has
t-shirt.
extrasensory perception. He knows where things are coming from, and thus he can respond to them. But he doesn't seem to have. Well, he has improved reflexes, but no real superhuman powers. So he goes out and has a fight as a vigilante, but quite often seems to get fucked over quite well. I like that.
Like, he's constantly being seriously mashed up, and yeah, it's a bit more realistic.
It's proper origin story stuff.
It is very much so.
Because he's not even got the suit on.
No,
for the first,
Yeah.
12?
What we should say before we go any further on this is we are going to try and avoid spoilers.
Yep.
However,
Some
if you
might
want to
slip
be
out.
100% spoiler-free, probably just skip on to the next segment.
Yeah.
Because,
just- yeah.
the bit where he turns out to actually be half goat, no, we'll leave that there.
Well, the bit where they actually take his mask off and it is Ben Affleck. You're like, whoa! What happened there?
I must admit, I can't remember the name of the actor. He was the same guy who was in
Stardust.
Stardust,
Charlie
yes,
Cox.
which was
Charlie
a superb
Cox.
film. Yeah, a Londoner.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
like the fact that we've got so many British stars can seem to do good American accents, but I can only think of a handful of American stars that seem to do the British well.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that in lots of American programs and stuff, they actually use Aussies for the Brit, like in House. They had the guy out of Neighbours, Chase.
Yeah, Jesse Spencer.
Jesse Spence.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the English guy in House, and House is actually America.
Yeah, but he's not really supposed to be English. He's just Australian, but they just think, you English, right?
I think my
I'm
favourite
Australian.
character in Daredevil is actually the guy who plays the bad guy,
Wilson
Kingpin.
Fisk.
I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say, but his character is superbly done. He's probably
Yeah.
the most human bad guy I have seen in a long, long time. played by the same dude that played Private Pile in
Pile,
Full Metal
yeah.
Jacket.
Every time I was,
It took me ages to figure out who he was.
I picked it up pretty quick who it was, and it was just sort of every time I'm just sitting there and I'm imagining him walking up and down. This is my rifle. This is my gun. And then watching him blow his brains out on the toilet.
I just
No,
think
it's not a spoiler. He doesn't do that dead.
the fantastic thing about Fisk's character is his speech patterns.
Yes.
He emphasises the strangest things. He has these dramatic pauses that feel natural. They're not like the William Shatner dramatic pauses. He speaks like he really wants to just get things out, but he can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that it's really quite weird the
It's
way he
quite
does it.
endearing
but
as a
it's
character.
good.
It's fascinating because he comes across as so deliberate in everything he's doing, and also the whole he really believes he's doing the right thing for the city, but it's just a perception, and you can almost see how it's two good guys, except one of them has a horrifically violent psychopathic temper. Blah 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 blah.
It's like he's always in pain.
Yeah, who goes around beating the crap
Absolutely.
out of people.
So
Yes.
he's either always in pain physically and mentally.
Yeah,
Everything he looks at just sort of rolls him up.
and certainly for the first few episodes, until you see him first lose his temper, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, okay, right, yeah, okay. Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It's
Might
that
be a
kind
nice guy
of
to
show,
have a
is
beer
it? It's
with.
that kind of show.
It's early on when you see one of the henchman types, and he's being questioned by Daredevil, and he literally would rather just ram his head onto a big spike and kill himself than give away any detail. And you just think it's so atmospheric and it's so dark. It's darker than any other Marvel stuff I've ever seen. I would say
It's the darkest. It's definitely the
pushing.
darkest.
It's taken influence from the recent Batman films, certainly. But I would say potentially taking it a step further as well.
I'd go with that.
Well, because Batman and DC, they're quite dark anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel is quite fluffy with Iron Man and Captain America and Thor.
Yeah.
They're all
Nicey nice.
yeah. It's a bit fluff. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
gods and galaxies and Guardians of the Galaxy stuff and
Yeah.
Rocket
But
Raccoon.
this is a different angle, and it's
yeah.
a very welcome angle to me. It's grown-up comic book stuff.
It's good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It's like the Breaking Bad of Marvel.
There's also some superbly choreographed fight scenes. There's one
Yeah.
particularly sticks to mind. I think it's the second episode, and Daredevil goes in. And he's already pretty fucked up at the start of the episode. He's been found. I think it's that episode. He's been found in,
in the dump.
horribly fucked up. But he goes to rescue this child, and there's about 7 or 8 guys in this building, and you can see in this fight scene they film it. It seems to be filmed in a single take.
Yeah.
And it just goes through, and you can see how he's using his perception. So he's thrown this chair before a guy appears in the doorway, and it connects, or he's thrown something anyway. And you can just see how it's really thought out about how he works. And I was really
with
impressed with the
ultra
whole thing.
hearing and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I just think it's one of them shows. 13 episodes on Netflix. It's a 13-hour movie.
I like the fact that Netflix originals are 55, 57 minutes long for an hour-long
Yeah.
show.
no
'Cause,
adverts.
I've mentioned it before, the whole 24 thing,
Yeah.
where you got 24 episodes, but they're all 45 minutes long, but they didn't have the balls to just call it 18.
Apart from the last one of the 24s was actually 13 episodes.
Yeah. They lost that.
That was
They
bollocks.
thought
There's
we
some
can't
maths
make it
not
anymore.
working there.
Well,
for me.
the last hour of it was the last 12 hours of the show, so it completely balled it out. They did hour 1 to hour
Did someone
12,
just get
and then
bored?
12 hours. They must have done. The writers just got fed up.
But I believe in 24, he never even stopped for a piss or anything. You know,
No.
it's meant to be 24
Or
hours
eat.
of life.
He does in the ad breaks.
Oh, that's what
That's why they have
what
the
it
ad
is.
breaks.
Oh, they wait. So
Yeah.
he's in the middle of a fight scene, and then he's like, ad break.
Yeah, there's a
Piss.
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
They always go to you can always tell when you're looking on Netflix or when you bought the DVD. You can always see the dramatic pause, and you know that's where the ad break would have gone in. There's this little gap between the scenes that's slightly too long, where
Yeah.
they've taken out the ads, and you can always see it. And I always quite enjoy just calling it out. You know, that's where the adverts were.
Hey, if you're on Twitter, why don't you follow me at Barker Podcast or Not Listening Pod? You can't follow these two motherfuckers because they don't tweet. Do ya, Will? There you go. That's them not tweeting. At Barker Podcast or at Not Listening Pod. Fuckers, you're supposed to say something in that bit.
Oh, sorry.
Oops.
Nobody's listening.